Hello, welcome back. I just wanted to jump on quickly, well, this evening for me, to talk about the Shadow and Bone trailer we got today. I'm not gonna pretend like I am the first person to have an opinion. I'm not gonna pretend like my opinions are anything revolutionary, but I'm interested in talking it out, and here we are. So if you have thoughts, leave them below. At this point, you've seen the trailer. If you're gonna watch it, or you will go watch it, I'm not doing like my initial feeling reactions as much as kind of like breaking down what I think about what we've got. So let's start with the kind of obvious, what this trailer in theory set out to accomplish. And it's twofold, right? They want to attract new viewers, people who have never heard of the Grishaverse, who don't know the books, and those who have a familiarity with the source material and have a strong emotional connection with it. So it's getting new viewers that know nothing and reassuring the existing fans that the source material is in good hands. And I'm very interested in this adaptation in particular because we know that they are playing with the source material, but seem to be doing it in a way that is taking into account the fans and basically just like, how can they widen this world and tell more story and more direct story with the medium, right? Because there's always going to be differences between books to movies or shows just based on the nature of the storytelling. So it becomes, how do we view those changes? How do they impact the story being told? Does it change the heart of the story being told? And, you know, maybe I'll go into more stuff like that later, not necessarily in terms of this world, but. So I haven't done my reread of the books yet. That will be coming. I will probably journey a lot of it here as well. Again, I know that everyone is going to be doing this. So this is more just kind of like, this is my reading life. So that's what's going to end up here. But going in, I'm coming, you know, stale. I haven't touched a Grisha novel since King of Scars came out. So that's where we are. The trailer focuses a lot on the original novels. We do know, based on conversations that I've read about the process, that the Six of Crows gang, our crows, are gonna get about 50% screen time, but it's gonna be all original material. That for anyone watching this, that's probably not new information, but because of that, we only get little glimpses of them in the trailer because, as I've heard the production team talk about it, most anything that they put in becomes a spoiler. So they start the trailer and introduce us to this world in much the same way as the books do, in that we are thrust right into the Shadowfold, and we see that wonderful kind of line of delineation of the Shadowfold versus the not Shadowfold. There's a couple things I want to talk about with this. I think that the entry to this trailer really has a lot of the meat I want to talk about because it is our introduction. And so I'm going to put a little pin in the Shadowfold subject and come back to it in a second. The way we enter this is we get the Darkling, Ben Barnes, narrating about the Shadowfold. And at first, I'm not gonna lie, I was a little bit like, because it felt to me a little info dumpy. I'm like, okay, is this the most active way in? And I get in the book, obviously, we're told about the Shadowfold right away, but we have to be punchy going in, right? So initially, I was like, is this our most direct way in? And I don't think it was bad. I was just, you know, a little worried about how active it was making things. But then the trailer does immediately push us right into the action of the beginning of the book. We kind of almost get like the condensed version of the beginning of Shadow and Bone. And I personally love trailers because when they're done well, they give you all of the really exciting bits. The stakes are really high. The pacing is fast. So it feels exciting. And I think that this does that very well. So we're kind of set up in this slower like exposition. And then we get that first sun summoner moment, which could feel a little cliche, but what I think sets the world and this narrative apart. Again, I'm kind of coming at this from how would someone who doesn't know this world view this trailer? Or how will this pull in new people to this world? And I think the Shadowfold is it. And the way the Shadowfold is embodied in this trailer. And I found that really interesting because thinking about it, I'm like, this is probably, or was probably, one of the hardest bits to pin down, I would assume, as a creative team, because as a reader, no matter how Leigh Bardugo describes it, we're able to bring kind of our own baggage of the darkness and what monsters may lurk therein and that imagery to the table. And putting an exact tangible form to that is always kind of a jump, right? Because the amorphous idea can sometimes be scarier than a physical embodiment. So to have to actually physically build this world is a task. And so then to lead with that, because it again is one of the more important things in the book and series, if not, you know what I'm saying, it's a feat. And I think that it did it very, very well. The fact that it was a ominous, towering presence, that you could feel the claustrophobia going in with the ship going in, the monsters kind of swooping in and out, but you only get glimpses of them, the lightning coming through. Like, I thought the imagery of it was very well done. And I think that that is kind of a thing that I personally haven't really seen on screen in that way before. I think that after we kind of get that initial setup, and then when the music really crescendos, one, the score in this is fantastic. I really like it. And I think that the music told me that they're taking this seriously. It felt epic. The way it picks up its pace. I should be able to speak with better music terminology. My brother's a music teacher. I studied band in school for years, but here we are. I was expecting a little bit more Russian influence in the music, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I was kind of expecting like the high fantasy Russian version of the Anna Karenina soundtrack, which I loved and listened to as I read War and Peace after that movie came out, but that's neither here nor there. It did a really good job at the middle of the trailer of picking up the pace and then dangling little scenes in front of us. And if you're already a fan, you're looking out for those moments that are a wink to you, right? The introduction of the crows in particular. But if you aren't part of this world already, if you don't know the Grishaverse, I think it's also really well done in that it establishes the world visually and kind of gives you a sense of what the mood is going to be and sets the expectation of the scope as well. So I think it really does tackle a lot of what it sets out to do. I will admit, fully have hesitations at the beginning because I was worried about being just too info dumpy with the entry into the world, right? How can we most actively enter this world? But then again, the Darkling is part of the appeal of this world, especially for existing fans. And I already see Darkling discourse starting up again online, and that's a whole other conversation for another day. But I do think that having the Darkling as the introduction to the world is also an interesting aspect to consider. Now, that being said, there is also discourse online again regarding Nina's casting and the fact that in the books, Nina is canonically a fat character, and in the casting is not. So this is nothing to do with the actress, and I'm sure she's tackled this role with her whole heart. So I don't want it to be about that. What I want it to be, this conversation briefly to be about, is the fact that the casting has been so intentional in every other aspect that it just was disappointing to see one of our most iconic fat fantasy characters taken from us in the adaptation. I do think, based on what I've seen online that these actors are approaching the source material and attacking the source material with a lot of love, but I would be remiss not to mention that. So yeah, I don't want to drag this on forever. Those are some of my quick thoughts. What are yours? What are you most looking forward to? What did you like about the trailer? Was there anything that you would have liked to see a little bit differently? What, based on this, are you most looking forward to in the show come April? We're going to talk about this, or I'm going to babble about this more, like I said. So there's going to be plenty of opportunity to chat, but just shoot off your immediate thoughts after that drop today. And yeah, have a great one.